Hello there and welcome back to the Cosmic Revolution channel. I'm your guide, Maddie Murphy, astrologer, intuitive, empowerment coach, and here just to help you navigate this wild thing called life. So I'm going to talk about something today that is one of the hot buzzwords of astrology. Even if you're new to astrology, you've definitely heard of this, the Saturn Return. What is it? What you need to know about it, and 5 things to help you just navigate your Saturn return with grace and ease so you can be on that cosmic level up. Okay, you ready? Let's go. So the Saturn return is, first of all, I just want to say it's something everyone goes through. It's something that happens every 27 to 30 years. A return is something you might have heard of. It's an astrological little mumbo jumbo that means a completion of a cycle, a completion of a revolution. Get it? Cosmic revolution. It's this ending of a cycle. So Saturn is one of the slowest moving planets. So it takes 27 to 30 years to go back into the sign it started. Another example of a return is your solar return. Bonus points if you know what that is. It's your birthday. It's when the sun returns back to the spot it was in when you were born. And the sun moves around 365 days to get back to the spot. So that's your return, and then you have your Saturn return. And this is different than a retrograde. Retrogrades affect us all at the same time, but a return is unique to your chart. So if you are wondering if you've gone through your Saturn return or not, you can pull up your chart, you can pull up a calculator. If your Saturn is in Capricorn, congrats. As of this taping in December 2020, you're just finished your Saturn return. If your Saturn's in Aquarius, buckle up, buttercup. Your Saturn return is just beginning, and we're gonna make a follow-up video for what that means specifically for your sign. So the Saturn return, the crazy thing about it is even if you're just starting or maybe it's a few months out, you feel the effects of a Saturn return a year before it happens. And Saturn, he is truly the taskmaster. He is the teacher. He is the coach. I like to think of him as like a personal trainer or a life coach. Or a drill sergeant, leather daddy. He is there to whip you into shape, but for your highest good. He's that coach who yells at you because he loves you. He is that personal trainer who makes you do burpees, even though I hate burpees, but you're like, damn, I feel really good after. And he is that life coach who kind of calls you out on your bullshit so that you can elevate and ascend and evolve. So Saturn, being this kind of grumpy, but I think ultimately benevolent taskmaster, when he returns into your chart, 27 to 30 years, that means you're 27 to 30 years old when you experience this return. And we all know that's kind of the part of life where we have to be confronted with that dreaded word, adulting. This is where we're faced with our emotional adulthood. That's what a Saturn return is. Even if people who don't know about astrology, they feel it. That 27 to 30 age is when people start, oh man, I gotta get serious. And what does that usually feel like to them? I gotta buy a house or have kids or get married. Spoiler alert, that doesn't mean growing up. Usually Saturn is asking you to take responsibility for your life, to take responsibility for your emotions and your actions, and to ask if the structures and systems of your life are currently in alignment with your highest self. And Saturn, when it hits back into that spot during your return, says anything that is not in alignment will fall away. And anything in your life that was chosen for you by society, by your family, by peer pressure, by you trying to be something you're not, is kind of gonna crumble. But the good thing is to get you back in alignment with your true self. So I'm gonna give you a few tips just to navigate your Saturn return, or if you haven't gone through your Saturn return yet and it's coming up down the horizon, the earlier you can start some of these practices, the better. So I'm gonna go through, and I don't know if any of you, my first time hearing about Saturn return was through the No Doubt album, Return of Saturn, when I was like 15, 16, that album came out. And I just remember being scared of it. Like, even before I knew about astrology, it sounded so scary. So the first tip I want to say is, from your cosmic mama right to you, don't be scared, okay? Don't be afraid. There is going to be a lot of change, and change can be scary, and it's okay to have low moments during this time. It's okay to question things, but I just don't want you to go in being scared, okay? This is to empower you. Like I said, this is to up-level you. So that's just tip number one, is we're just going to shed that fear, and we're going to go into this with just openness and curiosity. My second tip is that everything I said, don't be scared, but like, yes, changes are coming. So my second tip is just be willing to make changes in your life. This is going to be a time that's going to ask you to be flexible, like a palm tree. My fourth grade teacher used to always make this analogy. So you could blow in the winds of life and move back and forth and bend. Don't be like that oak tree, because you're going to snap at those first like hardcore winds that are going to come in your Saturn return. The more that you can be willing to make change, and some of this change might be big, leaving friend groups behind, leaving your job behind, leaving relationships behind, leaving cities you've lived in behind. Your Saturn return is going to change you. And the more you can be willing to say yes to change, especially if it feels good here, it feels in alignment with who you are and where you want to go, it's going to be positive, but you have to be willing to say yes, okay? Go with that flow. And then number 3 is, I wouldn't be your spiritual personal trainer if I didn't tell you this is a good time to start meditating and journaling and sitting with your own damn thoughts, because up to the Saturn return, it's kind of like life is just happening to you. You're just like along for the ride, like, hey, school, high school, college, whoa, being a grown up in my 20s, what's happening? And then the Saturn return comes to be like, hey, this is all this stuff you haven't dealt with. This is where you need more boundaries. This is where you have beliefs that probably aren't yours, but that you just inherited. This is actually some truths about the world. This is where you need to show up for yourself more. This is where you need to have discipline. And without a process of mindfulness or reflection, which is why I love journaling, it's going to feel overwhelming. So my Saturn return is where I picked up my tarot practice again, just pulling a card a day, journaling on it, meditating 5 minutes a day. This is what makes the difference of using your Saturn return for amazing growth versus intense breakdowns. Okay, so my next tip on that note, it's going to be a time to probably focus on family. Saturn in the birth chart is very heavily associated with our father, with the men in our family lineage, and any kind of sense of patriarchal tones. So this could be a time to reconnect with your family, or a time to examine where if there's any wounds or old stories or vulnerabilities in your relationships with your family, to examine them, okay? We all have things we either inherited from our family, intergenerational trauma or patterns, or we all have things that we're carrying around because our inner child just either wants to make our parents happy, specifically in Saturn return, our father, or the men in our family, or we have things that we reject and rebel so hard against in that line. And this is just a good time to get really clear and have awareness of all of that so you can integrate it and move forward from a place of higher consciousness, okay? So that's kind of a big one. Seek definitely outside help for that one if you don't know where to start. Okay, so then the next thing is just gonna be about taking responsibility for your life. In your Saturn return, like I said, it's like the universe, you've been in the backseat, taking a nap, eating snacks, playing words with friends on your phone, and Saturn just pulls over at the rest stop and is like, you drive now. And you're just like, oh, what? Like, I was just a passenger. I don't even know where I was going. I'm just along for the ride. And Saturn's like, figure it out. Figure out where you want to go. And this means taking responsibility, thinking big picture things. What's your purpose? What's your passion? And spoiler alert, it might not be what you're doing now. and that's okay. That's good, actually. And other things is this might be a time to become more responsible with your finances, to take more accountability for your word. Saturn rules time. If you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, show up at that time. Learn about time management, time, money, responsibility. These are big themes of the Saturn return. And the more that you can, I'm not saying you have to become like Susie Orman or something. I'm just saying awareness. Look at your bank account. Think about saving. Think about just being impeccable with your word. Okay. These are things that will really help your Saturn return. And then my last tip for this is I want you to be okay with being alone. And I want you to know it's not going to last forever. Saturn is a planet that does ask us to, like I said, take responsibility for ourselves. And ultimately, you are the driver of your own life. It's not you and your friends, you and your family, you and your romantic partner. It's just you. So there's going to be moments in your Saturn return where you're going to feel alone. And you're going to feel like, am I going to be in this forever? Some astrologers call Saturn return the dark night of the soul. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. People go through this all the time. So that's first and foremost, and that it's not forever. It's not permanent, but you have to be patient. Saturn really rules delays too. So you need that patience we talked about, and just get comfortable being by yourself. It's not going to last forever, but the more you can fall in love with yourself, enjoy spending time alone, and ignoring the things that are distractions from your true soul growth and focusing on who you are and what you're here to do and who you're here to be. That's what this cosmic level up is all about. Okay, so let me know in the comments below where you have Saturn in your chart. The sign and the house is going to make a big deal to tell the story of what your Saturn return is about. And if your Saturn is Aquarius, check out our follow-up video to this. In the meantime, I'm sending you virtual hugs and sexy stardusted blessings for you. I'll see you soon.